What's up, CHFFL? Sorry to keep you waiting, but we're finally here for the 2021 outlooks with keeper selections due in just 8 days from this video being uploaded. Let's dive in and see where everybody is. We're going to get to half the league in this video and then half the league in a video tomorrow. So 2021 14th CHFFL season. I'm so excited. Next year, I'll be able to say at least, I think I'm the youngest person in the league, but will have been in the CHFFL for half of my lifespan next year. Crazy. It's our 5th season as a keeper league, and I think that's been going very well. I don't see any need to change the rules. We're starting to see teams that were down at the bottom being able to play for next year, but not ridiculously so. This year, I remember value calculation. I have a video on it. I'll put it at the end in one of the tags if you want to go back and review. But value calculation is a way of mathematically guessing how good a team is going to be this year based on their draft picks and where their keepers are going relative to where they can keep them. It's 291 last year, and while the units are meaningless, the numbers matter. It was 300 last season, and the standard deviation is up to 52 from 35 last year, which means overall the league is weaker this year, but the teams are farther apart. We actually have our 2 strongest teams on record by value calculation average. The player rankings I used in this video are from August 3rd. They shouldn't have changed too much in the past 10 days, but keep that in mind. Really fast, let's look at 2020. Basically, my rankings and the value calculation were all over the place. Really got Parker wrong. Obviously, he ended up winning the league and scoring the most points in the season. I had him at 10th, VC had him at 9. Max and myself, we were both really off on. JD underperformed significantly, and then Mark was my biggest blunder. Mark really let me down. I picked him to win the championship, and he finished 11 in total points. And because of Mark being the outlier, the value calculation did a little better than I did last year. You can see on the graph, but both of us were pretty far off the mark. The R-squared values are not great, and the lines do not really correlate well with season points rank, so really it was a coin flip. Basically, all these grades I'm about to go over, don't take them to heart. You can definitely still win, even if I put you down at the bottom. Let's start with last season's champion. Parker, his VC is 267 this year. That's 8th in the league. Looking at his picks, 9th pick overall. Now, right as I was about to shoot this, Parker and Stan did a trade that I'm assuming we need to get some more details on. I'm going to grade them from before that trade. Parker missing his 3rd round pick, which was a conditional, went to Stan because he won the championship. In terms of keepers, he could take Aaron Rodgers, Chase Edmonds in the 10th. Both look pretty good. Derrick Henry probably involved with that trade for Stan. His best keeper by far is Calvin Ridley. He can keep him at pick 40, and he's ranked 13th, just outside the 1st round. Parker's situation looks very similar to where it was last year. I'm putting him at a B, kind of right in the middle of everybody, but he's a great fantasy player. Expect him to overperform again on that ranking. Let's move on to Stan now at the other end of that trade. Stan has the 3rd highest VC in the league at 328. 5th overall pick, very nice, and then he has 3 3rd-round picks, and those are really going to be the key to Stan's season. Who he takes there, what direction is he going to, what positions are you going to fill out on, and are they going to be hits or misses? Because his keepers are not great. Again, I assume he just traded for Derrick Henry, but let's take that off the table and assume that Parker and Stan are trading very equal value. Claypool and Williams are both okay keepers, but they're not going to make his team. Because of that, I have Stan ranked a little behind where the computer would have me. I have him at an A-. Still top half of the league and definitely a contender. But I think his VC overrates him a little bit because of that lack of having the solid keeper there, which of course will go out the window. I'll do a follow-up video likely on the trade once we get more details about it. Next, Grant. Grant has a VC of 232, next to last. And a lot of this is because he traded away everything, if you remember, to try and go at that championship. He has the 8th pick overall, then no 2nd rounder, no 6th, 7th, or 8th round. So really going to be high end. Now his keepers are very good. Aaron Jones, Stephon Diggs, I'm seeing a lot of hype for Jones everywhere that I look, fantasy football this year. Grant's essentially going to have 3 first-round picks, a 5th, and then like nothing until double-digit rounds. I have him as a C+, and this doesn't really... So I have him as my 11th overall team, like the VC does, but I have him higher. My lowest team is at a C-. I think Grant could surprise having all that high-end talent. It's just going to be very risky. If anybody gets injured, he's going to have no depth. Moving on, Banish. VC 381 is the highest the CHFFL has ever had. He has the 2nd overall pick, 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, and solid keepers. A.J. Brown, he can keep a pick 71 going in the 2nd. Well, ECR ranked he should go in the 2nd. Probably going to take Scary Terry, I guess, and then one of either Anderson or Harris. Going to be loaded at receiver and going to have a chance to grab some running backs in the early rounds. Banish should obviously make the playoffs this year and contend for 1st overall. It's just going to be interesting how that conference that I believe has Banish and Swan, I have to double check how that's going to go, but I have him up in the S tier. That was an easy choice. Next is Wes. Wes's VC is 285. That's 6th. That's definitely the lowest it's been while I've been doing the VC, while I've been doing the previews. Wes has been a powerhouse for a few years. But this year he starts out in the middle of the pack. Pick 11 overall. Did that trade with Mark. Moved down in the 2nd because he's going to keep Kamara, obviously. That was a very good move. No 4th round pick, a little upsetting. But his keepers are still solid. Max trading him Mahomes. We're now 3 seasons removed from it, and it's still having an effect. He gets the best quarterback in the league at pick 83. Taking Kamara, get one of the top 3 guys, which is seeming to be a very big deal this year. It seems like in the 1st round, there's a big drop-off after those first 3. And then right now he has TJ Hawkinson as his 3rd keeper. I like that. That's what I would have gone with as well. I have Wes... This is one of my bigger variations from the computer output, because I have him in that A- tier just above Stan. Even though Stan on paper should be better, I just really like having keepers this year with the league being weaker, with people having uncertain futures. Wes has his tight end, his quarterback, and a top running back going into the draft. I think that gives him a lot more options to take the highest value guy instead of having to worry about team composition. So I like Wes to really compete like he always does this year, even though on paper he's starting a little lower. And the last one for this video is Marty. His VC is 304th. That's good for 5th in the league. A great draft board, other than nothing high. He's 12th pick overall. I'm sure he's happy to have that 13 at the turn. You got 2 4th rounds, 2 5th rounds, well, 3 6th. So he's going to have a ton of depth. Marty is going to have to take shots and swing for the fences once he has his starting positions in place, because his keepers are terrible. His keepers actually brought his VC down. These are the 2 closest I can get to decent keepers. Tom Brady in the 5th or Jared Cook in the 11th. Neither are appetizing. So it's really hard to place Marty this year. He's not going to have a top 15 player realistically going in, but he's going to have all these other guys. I put Marty down with Parker in the B tier, and this is another big deviation, just like with Wes. Based on the VC calculation, Marty and Wes would be switched, but I really like having those keepers going into the draft. I haven't had time to do an in-depth analysis of it, but I think that has produced better results in the past. So I have Marty down in the average could compete tier. He's just going to knock it out of the park on draft day. Well, thanks for sticking around. Almost 10 minutes. This was a little longer video than I normally do, but I was just excited, and we'll be back tomorrow with part 2 of the 2021 outlooks. Thanks for watching.